Hi everyone, this is Mr. Neil Writer, also known as the Wax Whisperer. Thank you for joining me in my latest video. This is of a procedure I performed on a colleague of mine who happens to be an ENT consultant surgeon. And the device that I'm using is our new ClearWax WAXscope device, which you may have seen some other videos covering. And the benefit of the WAXscope is that we have a speculum attachment. So on the periphery, you can see the tip of the speculum. So a speculum is like an ear funnel, it's a cone. And it's used by ear professionals and other medical professionals, depending upon which field they're in, to widen and straighten an orifice. So in the case of an audiologist, an ENT specialist and a doctor examining the ear, the speculum is used to dilate, to widen the ear canal and straighten it. And that's because our ear canals are not, they're cylindrical in shape, but they're not a straight tube. They have bends and twists and narrowings and widenings. And this particular patient said he's an ENT consultant surgeon. He's a good friend of mine as well. I'm sure he won't object for me to uploading this video. We have done in the past. So we worked very closely together, and ClearWax back in 2015 developed the iClearScope endoscope device. Now, endoscope, and if you go to my channel, the Wax Whisperer, you'll see I've got over more than 1,000 videos using the endoscope. An endoscope has an unparalleled view of the ear. It's a panoramic view. It's like you're inside the ear. However, some professionals struggle to use an endoscope because you're having to use the endoscope as well as viewing the wax in the ear to straighten and widen the ear canal to enable you to insert the instrument to remove the wax. And it does require a high skill level. So very early on, I decided when we launched it's called the iClearScope, the endoscope, it was always in the back of my mind that I need to develop something that has a speculum attachment. Now the view, we're going to have to compromise a bit. There's no getting away from that. But we wanted to make sure the view is still very clear and better than anything else that's on the market really at the moment, and we think we've achieved that. Now, ironically, my first endoscopic procedure using the iClearScope was on my colleague here, the ENT surgeon, and it just so happens that the first procedure that I performed using the new WAXscope device, so this is performed about a month ago when it was still in somewhat prototype stage, I used it on my colleague, and it's been 7 years since I first removed the wax from my colleague's ear with an endoscope, and see my skill levels have developed quite a lot since then, but I definitely found in this instance anyway, and it's probably more to do with my experience in the device, but far more easier. Now in this procedure I'm using a 4.25mm speculum to widen the ear. He has got a very, very narrow ear canal, so in fact he would need a smaller speculum, which we now have got. We've got a smaller one than this. We can still see the eardrum there. He would have benefited from our 3.5mm speculum, so that can fit in the ear a bit better and straighten it and widen it. But even then, even with the larger than ideal speculum for my colleague's ear, we still managed to remove the wax. And so with the WAXscope, we have to focus the lens on the object, and the focus is all adjustable, which is great. With an endoscope, you don't really need to adjust the focus because the lens is actually inside the ear itself. There's no real need to adjust the focus. With the WAXscope, it's like all other devices other than an endoscope. The magnifying lens is outside of the ear, which then means that you do need to adjust the focus. You can see the view there is crystal clear, very blocked ears, and I'm just using the microsuction Zollner suction probe to remove this wax. And see, I'm getting the speculum in. I'm almost at an endoscope. I'm so used to referring to the device as an endoscope, but we're just using the speculum to straighten this ear. Now using a Jobson horn, which is like an ear correct, and we're getting in and behind this soft wax, slowly etching it forwards. And once more, so the ear canal entrance, if we don't widen it, there's no way of gaining access inside the ear. So once more, just straighten that ear in with the Jobson horn, and we're just getting it in and behind the soft wax. And slowly but surely I'm trying to think of a phrase. It's not scraping the wax, I would use more scooping the wax out. So at this stage, you can just see the top part of the eardrum way in the distance there. So there's a bit more wax to remove. There's a bit of dead skin near the entrance here. I think I'm just going to remove this. I'm going to get this into focus. And you can see how that focus changes. You can see the wax nearest to us now, as opposed to previously you could see the wax in the distance a bit better, more focused. We're just peeling the skin away. So whenever you've got a speculum, as I said at the beginning of the video, the view, the field of view is not quite there. It's more of a narrow focus view, and some people prefer that. I'm just so used to seeing here with an endoscope, so it did take a while for me to adapt, but now that I have, getting more familiar with the WAXscope itself and how to use it, you can see how we've just straightened that ear. So if we didn't have the speculum, this ear canal, you wouldn't see this wax. The ear canal was almost closed at the entrance. With an endoscope, I would have used the endoscope to straighten the ear. So just move the speculum out a bit, just so I can remove some of the wax near the entrance. So the wax has been there for a while. You can tell by the colour it's oxidised somewhat. There are chronic wax sufferer. It does need to be removed. Every time I see my colleague, I always offer to clean their ears. And we're just at the bottom of the ear canal here, just lifting the wax upwards. You can see that ribbon of skin there at the bottom. And then we're now at the top of the ear, and I'm just using the suction probe to detach some skin just here. And we're just located just at the entrance of the ear canal now. And once again, we're stretching the ear wide open using the speculi. I've got the suction probe in at the top, and we've got some more skin out. And here I'm just using some forceps. There's a tail of keratin that was just hanging out of the ear canal entrance. So we just used the forceps to remove that. Once again, we've got the view focus onto the wax. And you can see this wax is quite dark. It's slightly matted. There's a few hairs here. And I'm just going to the base of the ear canal, trying to lift this up and away. And this wax plug is enveloped by some dead skin. You can hopefully see that. There's like a glossy outer layer that's enveloped itself around the wax plug, and that's just dead skin. I've just adjusted the focus there. Back in with the suction probe to the base of the ear canal. We're just lifting this up and away. I'm just giving it a little wriggle there just to help to retract it off the floor of the ear canal. You can see that skin at the bottom. You can see just how it adheres itself to the ear canal. How we have to stretch and pull it away, and it doesn't want to let go, that skin. Its skin's like double-sided adhesive, sticky tape. It's not only attached to the canal wall, but it's also attached itself to the plug of wax. Again, we're just going to the ear, we've got to stretch it wide open. We're using the speculi. So if I wasn't using the speculum to straighten the ear, I'd be using the endoscope. And I'll be holding the endoscope in my non-dominant hand, entering the ear with it, stretching the cartilage to the left, and then with the right hand inserting the instrument. And that's where some people can struggle with an endoscope. And if you've mastered that technique, as I said, the view and an endoscope is on parallel. So there's the eardrum. As mentioned earlier, would have probably benefited from a smaller speculum there. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you're an ear specialist interested in the WAXscope, please email info@clearwax.co.uk. Thank you, bye.